Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl Rena, and today I'm taking you on a solo ride through Edmonton's most dangerous neighborhoods. Literally. And don't worry, I've got my GPS, a full tank of gas, and yes, a can of pepper spray. So what could possibly go wrong? Starting strong at number 5 is Boyle Street, right next to Downtown Edmonton. Ooh boy, let me tell you, this area has a lot going on. I'm talking about homelessness, drugs, addiction, and crime. A recent data reported nearly 9,300 incidents per 100,000 people, which is 122% higher than the national average. Out of that, 1,800 were violent crimes, with the rest being property crimes like theft and vandalism. Yeah, it's not exactly the safest neighborhood to live. Here's the backstory. Boyle Street's challenges run deep, rooted in socioeconomic struggles. The median income here is just around $42,000, way below the provincial average. And while organizations like Boyle Street Community Services are doing amazing work to support people struggling with homelessness and addiction, it's a double-edged sword. These services are essential, but also draw vulnerable populations. Let's be real. While these services are crucial, they also make this place a hotspot for people struggling with addiction and other vices. The city's tried to step up supporting initiatives like Boyle Street Community Services, but it's been a bumpy road. For instance, there was a plan to build a health hub that included an overdose prevention site. But the city's Subdivision and Development Appeal Board shot it down multiple times, leaving this neighborhood stuck in a frustrating cycle of setbacks. Do you think the city of Edmonton can break this cycle of setbacks in areas like Boyle Street? So yeah, guys, if there is one neighborhood you should definitely avoid, then it's Boyle Street. Just saying. At number 4, we've got Macaulay. It's home to iconic districts like Little Italy and Chinatown, where you'll find a fantastic range of restaurants. But under that charm, the area has its fair share of challenges, and the numbers don't lie. The total crime sat at 9,500 incidents per 100,000 people, which is a shocking 124% higher than the national average. And violent crimes were reported at 1,900 incidents per 100,000 people, far exceeding Edmonton's overall rate. It's no surprise that safety is a constant concern for both residents and visitors here. Driving through Macaulay, you can't help but notice the signs of economic strain. Abandoned lots, boarded up businesses, and an air of neglect in some areas. The median household income sits at just $39,000, which is 52% lower than the Canadian average. Combine that with a home ownership rate, and you've got a neighborhood where housing instability and rental properties dominate. These economic struggles feed into issues like property crimes, vandalism, and drug-related activities, creating a tough cycle to break. And while efforts like Macaulay Revitalization Project are working hard to breathe new life into the area, let's be real. Big problems like crime and neglect don't go away overnight. For many, Macaulay remains a place where safety and economic opportunity feel out of reach. That's why it lands in the number 4 spot on our countdown. But do you think efforts like the Macaulay Revitalization Project can truly turn things around for this neighborhood? All right, coming in at number 3 is Maple Ridge. Hear me out. This one shocked me. Maple Ridge is this small, quiet neighborhood in southeast Edmonton, made up entirely of manufactured homes. You know, those prefabricated houses that are brought in and set up on site. Honestly, most of the homes here are super well kept and driving through. It doesn't exactly scream danger zone or neglected. It actually feels kind of peaceful. But dig a little deeper, and the stats tell a different story. Crime here is 124% above the national average, and violent crime is 75% higher. Residents here have a 1 in 11 chance of becoming a crime victim. Not exactly comforting, right? Area Vibes even gave the area some harsh grades. 58% for livability, B- for housing, makes sense, and an F for crime, safety, and amenities. So what's the deal here? Well, Maple Ridge is a manufactured home community, which means it offers affordable housing. It's great for families, but affordability can be a double-edged sword. It often attracts people who are out of options, and with tough economic situations comes the risk of higher crime rates. Also, the area is surrounded by industrial zones, which unfortunately that can attract transient populations and some shady activities like theft and vandalism. So yeah, Maple Ridge might look quiet and cozy on the surface, but the numbers tell a different story. That's why it lands solidly in the top 3 of Edmonton's most dangerous neighborhoods. At number 2, we've got Yellowhead Corridor East. This place is right near Delton and Killarney, and the crime rates here are alarming, 126% higher than the national average, with violent crime sitting 77% above average. If you live here, you've got a 1 in 11 chance of becoming a victim of crime. The area is a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to housing. You've got single detached homes, small apartments, duplexes, and townhouses, most of which were built back in the 1960s. It's mostly residential, but here's the thing. There aren't any parks within the neighborhood itself. Honestly, it feels like it's missing some key ingredients that make a neighborhood feel complete. But the real issue is its location. Sitting right next to industrial zones and major transportation routes, this area sees a constant flow of people passing through, many of them transient. And that, my friends, is a breeding ground for theft, vandalism, and other crimes. Due to some economic struggles, a lack of amenities, and the industrial vibes, and you start to see why the crime rates are off the charts. Turning things around for this area isn't going to be easy, but it's not impossible. It's going to take community engagement, smart economic investments, and a stronger law enforcement presence to tackle these challenges head-on. But what do you think is really driving the crime rate at Yellowhead Corridor East? If you lived around here or even just spent time in the area, I'd love to hear your perspective. What's the vibe like? What do you think could actually make a difference?
Hey, yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey, yeah, ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy.
And here we are, guys, our final stop on the countdown. Dramatic drum roll, please. Sitting at number 1 is Black Mud Creek Ravine. And I've got to say, this one was surprising to me personally. On the surface, this neighborhood looks like it's straight out of a magazine. Gorgeous nature trails and shiny modern homes. But don't be fooled. There is a darker side to this area. Here's the reality check. Crime rates here are a jaw-dropping 129% higher than the national average, with violent crime sitting at a solid 79% above. So what's the deal? A big piece of the puzzle is location. Black Mud Creek Ravine's close proximity to major routes like Ellerslie Road and James Mowat Trail makes it a magnet for transient populations. And unfortunately, where there's a lot of movement, there's often an uptick in theft, vandalism, and other crimes. The economic picture doesn't do it any favors either. Pair that with a lack of local amenities, and you've got a neighborhood struggling to keep its head above water. What's wild is that Black Mud Creek Ravine isn't some old, crumbling part of the city. Most of the homes here were built in the late 90s and early 2000s. You'd think a newer neighborhood would have fewer issues, right? But nope. The numbers speak loud and clear. It's safer than only 15% of Alberta's cities. Turning things around here, that's going to take more than just good intentions. We're talking stronger community engagement, better access to amenities, and a bigger presence from law enforcement. But as of now, Black Mud Creek Ravine sits at the top as Edmonton's most dangerous neighborhood. Do you think beefing up the police presence would be enough to make this place safer? And there you have it, folks. The top 5 most dangerous neighborhoods in Edmonton. And yeah, remember when I mentioned my trusty can of pepper spray? Let's just say it stayed very close the entire ride. But jokes aside, if you're new to Edmonton or just visiting, you might find this helpful, especially if you're hunting for a new home or trying to figure out where to settle. These neighborhoods may have their challenges, but they're also full of potential. While the city is working to improve safety, it's going to take a lot more community engagement and long-term planning. So, what do you think? What should Edmonton do to make these areas safer and more livable? Drop your ideas in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until the next scenic drive, it's just your girl Rena signing off. Stay safe out there, Edmonton.